Have you ever stood in front of a towering ancient monument, marveling at its grandeur, only to wonder if there's more to it than meets the eye? What if I told you that some of the world's most famous landmarks, the ones we've seen in textbooks, postcards, and travel documentaries, are hiding secrets right under our noses? These aren't just architectural marvels, they're time capsules whispering coded messages, concealing symbols, and even guarding clandestine designs meant only for those who know where to look. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on history's greatest enigmas, uncovering the hidden layers of 25 monuments that have kept their mysteries locked away for centuries. Think about the last time you visited a historic site. You might have admired its beauty, snapped a photo, or read a plaque with basic facts. But what if that plaque didn't tell the whole story? What if the carvings on the walls, the alignment of the stones, or even the shadows cast at certain times of year were part of a much bigger puzzle? From the cryptic inscriptions of the Egyptian pyramids to the covert symbols etched into the walls of European cathedrals, these monuments were built by people who wanted to communicate something beyond the obvious messages meant to endure long after their creators were gone. Some were meant to inspire, others to warn, and a few, well, their true purpose remains a riddle even now. This isn't just about solving mysteries, it's about stepping into the minds of the builders, the artists, and the rulers who left these clues behind. Imagine standing where they stood, holding the same chisel or brush, deciding what to hide and what to reveal. What were they trying to protect? What were they afraid might be forgotten? As we journey through these 25 monuments, you'll see history in a whole new light, not as a static record of the past, but as a living, breathing story still waiting to be decoded. So, are you ready to uncover the secrets hidden in plain sight? Let's begin. Let's start with the oldest and perhaps most enigmatic monument on our list, the Great Pyramid of Giza. Standing tall for over 4,500 years, this ancient wonder isn't just a tomb. It's a masterpiece of engineering hiding layers of secrets. Take its precision, for example. The pyramid's base is leveled to within just a fraction of an inch, and its sides align almost perfectly with the cardinal directions north, south, east, and west. How did builders achieve such accuracy without modern tools? Some suggest they used the stars, embedding astronomical knowledge into the very stones. Then there are the mysterious air shafts, narrow passages leading from the so-called king's and queen's chambers. Initially thought to provide ventilation, these shafts actually point directly towards specific stars like Sirius and Orion's belt, hinting at a deeper celestial connection. Could they have been pathways for the pharaoh's soul to ascend to the heavens, or were they part of a larger, coded message about the cosmos? But the intrigue doesn't stop there. Recent scans have revealed hidden voids and chambers deep within the pyramid's core, spaces that have never been explored. What might lie inside? Some theorists argue these could hold lost records of advanced ancient knowledge, or even evidence of extraterrestrial influence. After all, the pyramid's mathematical perfection, from the golden ratio in its dimensions to the precise angles of its corridors, seems almost otherworldly for its time. Whether you believe these theories or not, one thing is certain: the Great Pyramid was built with intentionality far beyond mere burial. Its architects wove meaning into every measurement, every alignment, as if leaving behind a puzzle for future generations to unravel. And even now, after centuries of study, we've only just begun to decode its whispers from the distant past. Standing guard over the Giza Plateau for millennia with its inscrutable gaze, the Great Sphinx holds secrets far beyond its weathered limestone surface. While most visitors admire its imposing presence from the outside, few realize this iconic monument conceals a labyrinth beneath its pores, a network of tunnels and chambers that has fueled speculation for centuries. According to ancient Arab historians like al-Makrizi, hidden passageways beneath the Sphinx lead to a repository of forgotten knowledge, possibly containing records from the lost civilization of Atlantis. Even the Greek philosopher Plato hinted at such archives when he wrote about Egyptian priests preserving antediluvian wisdom. Modern explorers have added fuel to these age-old rumors. In the late 1980s, seismic surveys detected anomalies beneath the Sphinx hollow spaces that could be natural cavities or man-made chambers. The most controversial claims came from psychic Edgar Cayce, who prophesied in the 1930s that a hall of records lay buried here, holding advanced knowledge from a pre-flood era. Though mainstream archaeologists remain skeptical, recent ground-penetrating radar scans have revealed intriguing subsurface structures, including a rectangular void beneath the Sphinx's right paw. Could this be the entrance to a sealed archive, or merely an unexplored section of the monument's foundation? The Egyptian government has been cautious about excavation, leaving these mysteries tantalizingly unresolved. Adding to the intrigue are the Sphinx's mysterious weathering patterns. Some researchers argue its erosion suggests exposure to water thousands of years earlier than mainstream timelines suggest, potentially aligning with Cayce's theory of an ancient, advanced civilization. Meanwhile, clandestine digs in the 1930s by amateur archaeologist Émile Barrès reportedly uncovered tunnels leading downward from the Sphinx's rear, though records of these explorations remain frustratingly incomplete. Whether these subterranean spaces hold lost scrolls, ceremonial chambers, or simply geological formations, one truth remains: the Sphinx was never meant to be merely a statue. Its hidden depths whisper of deliberate concealment, as if its creators, whoever they truly were, intended some truths to remain just out of reach, waiting for the right moment in history to reveal themselves. With each passing decade, new technologies bring us closer to unraveling these enigmas, yet the Sphinx keeps its most profound secrets locked away, challenging us to look beyond the surface of history itself. High above the arid plains of southern Peru, etched into the earth with such staggering scale that they can only be fully appreciated from the air, the Nazca Lines have baffled researchers since their rediscovery in the early 20th century. These enormous geoglyphs, some stretching over 600 feet long, depict spiders, hummingbirds, monkeys, and geometric shapes so precise they seem to defy the technological limitations of the ancient Nazca culture, which flourished around 2,000 years ago. The sheer audacity of these designs raises an obvious question. Why would a civilization with no known access to flight create artwork only visible from above? One prevailing theory suggests the lines served as a celestial calendar, aligning with key astronomical events like solstices or the rising of certain stars. The famous spider glyph, for instance, mirrors the constellation Orion, while other shapes may chart the movement of planets critical to agricultural cycles. Local oral traditions speak of the lines as sacred pathways, walked by priests during rituals to communicate with deities who dwelled in the skies, but not all interpretations are so terrestrial. Swiss author Erich von Däniken famously proposed in the 1960s that the Nazca Lines were landing strips for extraterrestrial spacecraft, a theory that, while widely dismissed by scholars, captures the imagination and underscores the lingering mystery of these formations. Recent technological advances have only deepened the intrigue. Satellite imaging and drone surveys have uncovered hundreds of previously unknown geoglyphs, many hidden beneath the surface for centuries. Some of these newly discovered designs depict humanoid figures with elongated heads or beings holding what appear to be tools, fueling speculation about forgotten cultural practices or even contact with otherworldly visitors. Meanwhile, soil analysis has revealed that the Nazca people removed layers of dark volcanic rock to expose lighter sediment beneath, creating contrast that would have been striking even from ground level, challenging the assumption that the lines were meant solely for aerial viewing. Perhaps the most compelling clue lies in the region's extreme climate. The Nazca Desert is one of the driest places on Earth, with winds so gentle that the lines have remained undisturbed for millennia. This wasn't just practical, it was intentional. The Nazca may have chosen this location precisely because their messages, whatever they were, would endure. Whether they were signaling to the gods, mapping the heavens, or marking territory for beings beyond our understanding, the lines were a labor of devotion, etched with the certainty that someone or something was watching. Even now, as archaeologists piece together fragments of Nazca pottery and textile art for context, the full purpose of these colossal drawings eludes us. Were they prayers rendered in dirt, a sprawling museum of myth and astronomy, or something far more mysterious, meant for eyes we can't yet comprehend? The Nazca Lines refuse to surrender their secrets, standing as a testament to humanity's eternal urge to reach beyond what's known, to carve our questions into the earth and wait for an answer. Shrouded in the misty dawn of England's Salisbury Plain, Stonehenge's towering megaliths have whispered their celestial secrets for over 4,500 years. While most visitors flock here to witness the summer solstice sunrise perfectly framed by the heel stone, this ancient monument's true genius lies in its lunar mysteries, an intricate stone calendar tracking not just the sun, but the moon's subtle dance across the heavens. Recent laser surveys reveal something astonishing. The so-called station stones, positioned around the perimeter, align with the moon's extreme rising and setting points during its 18.6-year cycle, a phenomenon known as the lunar standstill. How did Neolithic builders without written language or metal tools encode such complex astronomy into these rocks? The answer may lie in the monument's most enigmatic feature, the 56 Aubrey holes encircling the site. Long dismissed as simple post holes, researchers now speculate these pits functioned as a prehistoric calculator. By moving markers between them, ancient astronomers could predict eclipses by tracking the interplay between lunar and solar cycles. Imagine Bronze Age priests watching the moon graze the tip of the slaughter stone during a standstill, knowing it signaled a coming lunar eclipse, an event that would have seemed like magic to ordinary observers. This wasn't just ritual, it was cutting-edge science carved in Sarsen, but the plot thickens. In 2008, archaeoastronomer Simon Banton discovered that the monument's missing stone D would have perfectly framed the winter full moon when viewed from the center. Its deliberate removal suggests later generations may have altered the design to suppress or conceal this lunar knowledge. Even more provocative are the blue stones transported from Wales' Preseli Hills, 250 kilometers away, which emit strange acoustic properties when struck. Were these the singing stones of legend used to amplify ceremonies during celestial events? Mainstream archaeology often paints Stonehenge as a burial ground or solar temple, but its precision tells a different story. The station stone rectangle's diagonals intersect at exact right angles, mirroring Pythagorean geometry millennia before Pythagoras, the outer ditch's circumference. 365 megalithic yards, a possible representation of the solar year. Every measurement feels intentional, as if the builders were desperate to preserve knowledge across generations in an era before writing. Perhaps the most haunting clue comes from nearby Durrington Walls, where pig bones show mass slaughtering coincided with midwinter. This wasn't random feasting, it was synchronized with lunar phases, suggesting entire communities gathered to witness celestial phenomena through Stonehenge's stone lenses. Today, as archaeologists debate whether the site's Phase 1, a simple circular ditch, already contained astronomical alignments, one truth emerges: Stonehenge wasn't just observing the skies. It was conversing with them, etching humanity's eternal awe into the very bedrock of Britain. Hidden away in Yale University's Bainach Library lies what may be history's most perplexing puzzle, not carved in stone but penned on fragile vellum. The Voynich Manuscript, a 240-page tome dating back to the early 15th century, defies every attempt at decipherment. Its pages crawl with an unknown script, characters flowing like cursive yet bearing no resemblance to any known alphabet, accompanied by illustrations so bizarre they seem plucked from a fever dream. Naked figures wade through interconnected tubes resembling human organs. Plants sprout leaves that match no known species. Celestial diagrams depict constellations no astronomer recognizes. Is this a pharmacopoeia of forgotten botany, an alchemist's coded recipe for the philosopher's stone, or an elaborate Renaissance-era prank that's fooled scholars for centuries? Carbon dating confirms the manuscript's age, silencing claims of a modern forgery, but the mystery only deepens from there. Linguists have applied frequency analysis, the same technique that cracked Egyptian hieroglyphs, only to find the text follows Zipf's law, a statistical pattern found in natural languages. This suggests the writing isn't random gibberish, but an actual language or cipher. Yet every proposed solution, from early Ukrainian to extraterrestrial symbols, collapses under scrutiny. Even artificial intelligence has failed to crack it, with algorithms detecting potential Hebrew or Arabic roots but producing no coherent translation. Then there are the illustrations, which split into 6 cryptic sections. Herbal pages show fantastical plants with roots resembling human organs, suggesting medieval medical knowledge we've lost. Astronomical folios feature zodiac symbols nestled inside concentric rings of nude women holding stars, possibly representing an unknown cosmological system. Most unsettling are the biological diagrams, where tiny female figures submerge in emerald green fluids coursing through what looks like a medieval schematic of the lymphatic system. Were these attempts to map the human body's inner cosmos, mirroring the macrocosm of the stars? Skeptics argue the manuscript could be an ornate deception. Renaissance Europe had a thriving market for wonder books, and eccentric figures like Holy Roman Emperor Rudolph Roman II, who allegedly purchased the manuscript for 600 gold ducats, were known to collect curiosities. Yet the sheer complexity undermines the hoax theory. The vellum's preparation, the ink's chemical composition, and the painstaking detail in hundreds of illustrations would have required years of labor for a mere prank. Recent multispectral imaging has revealed faint underdrawings beneath the paint, proving the artist carefully planned each bizarre image. Even more tantalizing are marginalia, faint handwriting in a different script that may hold the key. Some researchers believe the text could encode a lost dialect of Proto-Romance or an artificial, universal language invented before Esperanto. Others speculate it's a visual shorthand for meditation techniques, with the unreadable text acting as mnemonic triggers for spiritual exercises. What makes the Voynich manuscript unique among historical mysteries is its tactile immediacy. Unlike weathered stone monuments, its crisp vellum and vibrant inks feel startlingly alive, as if the author might walk in and explain everything. Yet the very preservation of its secrets suggests deliberate obscurity, a message meant only for initiates. Whether it guards ancient herbal wisdom, esoteric astrology, or something far stranger, one truth echoes across 6 centuries. Some knowledge resists revelation, not because it's lost, but because it was never meant to be found. Buried in the heart of China's Shaanxi province, the Terracotta Army stands as one of archaeology's most astonishing time capsules. A silent battalion of over 8,000 clay soldiers, each with a face so distinct they seem to breathe with individuality. Discovered in 1974 by farmers digging a well, this sprawling necropolis guards the tomb of Qin Shi Huang, China's first emperor, who unified the warring states and obsessed over immortality. But here's what most museums won't tell you. These aren't just artistic masterpieces. Forensic experts have analyzed the warrior's facial features and identified at least 10 distinct face shapes, from square jaws to high cheekbones, matching the ethnic diversity of the real soldiers in Qin's army. Some even bear expressions so lifelike, a slight smirk here, a furrowed brow there, that archaeologists speculate they may be portraits of actual individuals frozen in clay to serve their emperor for eternity. The craftsmanship is staggering. Every detail, from the tread on their boots to the intricate braids in their hair, reflects kin's demand for perfection. But the real mystery lies beneath their feet. Ancient writings describe the emperor's tomb as a microcosm of his empire, complete with rivers of liquid mercury symbolizing the Yellow and Yangtze rivers. Modern soil tests confirm alarmingly high mercury levels in the mound, fueling theories that the tomb's ceiling might have been painted with celestial constellations while the floor mapped kin's realm, a cosmic mirror of his power. And then there are the traps. Historian Sima Qian, writing a century after kin's death, warned of crossbows rigged to fire at intruders and engineered mechanisms to protect the tomb. Could these be ancient versions of the booby traps found in Egyptian pyramids? Despite decades of study, the central tomb remains unopened, partly out of respect for the dead, but also due to legitimate fears. When archaeologists briefly exposed a section of the terracotta figures to air, their vibrant paint, once lacquered in rich purples, greens, and blues, flaked off within minutes. This has led to a chilling realization. Current technology might destroy more than it reveals. Even non-invasive radar scans hint at sprawling underground chambers, some containing unknown objects that could rewrite our understanding of the Qin dynasty. What makes the terracotta army uniquely haunting is its unfinished business. Unlike static monuments, this is a story mid-sentence, with 90% of the site still buried, including potential government archives or even Qin's legendary elixirs of immortality. The army's greatest secrets remain underground. Were the warriors meant to be more than guardians? Could their individualized faces hold clues to lost regiments or forgotten battles? Until we dare to open the tomb carefully, reverently, these clay sentinels will keep their silence, standing watch over mysteries as alive today as they were 22 centuries ago. Rising above Athens on the Acropolis, the Parthenon seems at first glance like an ode to symmetry and balance, but look closer, and you'll discover its architects played a breathtaking game of visual trickery. Built in the 5th century BCE as a temple to Athena, this marble masterpiece doesn't rely on straight lines or uniform spacing. Instead, its columns tilt slightly inward, the floor curves almost imperceptibly, and every measurement whispers the secrets of the golden ratio, a mathematical proportion revered as the key to aesthetic perfection. Why would the Greeks go to such lengths? Because this wasn't just a temple. It was a three-dimensional riddle celebrating Athena's gift of wisdom, designed to teach as much as it was to awe. Take those iconic columns. To the naked eye, they appear perfectly straight, but laser scans reveal each one swells gently in the middle, a technique called intosses that counteracts an optical illusion, making straight columns look concave from a distance. Even more astonishing is how the Parthenon's base bows upward at the center, rising just 2.5 inches over its 228-foot length, a curve so subtle visitors don't consciously notice it, yet one that prevents the platform from appearing to sag under the weight of the structure. These weren't construction flaws, they were deliberate corrections to human perception, proving the Greeks understood how our eyes deceive us long before modern optics existed. Then there's the mathematics. The Parthenon's facade forms a golden rectangle, where the ratio of its height to width equals approximately 1.618, the same proportion found in seashells, galaxies, and even the human face. This ratio repeats in the spacing of the columns and the dimensions of the inner chamber, as if the builders were encoding nature's hidden patterns into stone. Some scholars argue these choices reflect the teachings of Pythagoras, whose followers believed numbers held divine truths. Others see a nod to Plato's theory of forms, with the Parthenon embodying an ideal template of beauty that exists beyond the physical world. But the most tantalizing secret lies in the temple's alignment. During the Panathenaic festival honoring Athena, sunlight would stream through the eastern doorway at dawn, striking the goddess's gold and ivory statue precisely on her birthday. This celestial choreography suggests the Parthenon doubled as an astronomical calendar, synchronizing human rituals with cosmic rhythms. Even the sculpted frieze depicting a procession of Athenians mirrors the actual path festival participants took up the Acropolis, a stone snapshot of a living tradition. What makes the Parthenon's genius so enduring is its refusal to be merely perfect. By bending lines and playing with perspective, its creators acknowledged a profound truth. True harmony isn't about rigid formulas, but about how we experience the world. In distorting reality slightly, they made it feel more real. Today, as architects use computer models to replicate the Parthenon's imperfections, we're left to wonder, did the Greeks build this temple to honor wisdom, or to prove that wisdom is found not in answers but in the pursuit of them? Beneath the iconic stone faces of Easter Island's Moai lies a secret that reshapes everything we thought we knew about these enigmatic figures. While their towering heads have become global symbols of mystery, few realize that many of these statues are actually full-bodied, buried up to their shoulders in earth, with intricately carved torsos hidden below the surface. Excavations at sites like Rono-Roroku, the volcanic quarry where the Moai were born, reveal astonishing details. Some statues stretch over 30 feet underground, their backs adorned with undeciphered petroglyphs spiraling across the stone like a forgotten language. These aren't just decorations, they're potential messages from the Rapa Nui people waiting to be read. The symbols carved into the Moai's backs, fishhooks, crescent moons, and figures with elongated arms mirror those found on rare wooden tablets scattered across the island, known as Rongorongo. This script, the only indigenous writing system in Polynesia, has defied translation for centuries. Some linguists believe the Moai's petroglyphs could be an early form of Rongorongo, encoding ancestral stories or ceremonial knowledge. Others argue the carvings represent clan symbols, marking which families commissioned each statue. But the most tantalizing theory connects them to the Birdman cult, a later religious movement where competitors would swim to offshore islets to retrieve the first sooty-tern egg of the season, a ritual depicted in similar glyphs. Could the buried Moai be a bridge between Easter Island's earlier and later cultures? Then there's the puzzling engineering. The statue's partially submerged state wasn't accidental. Soil analysis shows the Moai were carefully placed in intentional pits, their bases stabilized with red scoria stone platforms. Some researchers suggest this was a form of ritual planting, symbolizing the connection between ancestors and the land. The Rapa Nui word for the statues, Eringa Ora, translates to living faces, hinting that these weren't static monuments but vessels for spiritual energy. When Dutch explorer Jacob Roggeveen first spotted the island on Easter Sunday in 1722, he described seeing upright figures with bodies hidden beneath the earth, as if they were emerging from or returning to the ground. Modern technology has only deepened the enigma. Ground-penetrating radar scans reveal that some Moai have never been fully excavated, their submerged portions potentially holding more glyphs or even artifacts placed there by their creators. One statue, nicknamed El Gigant, lies unfinished in the quarry, its 22-meter length suggesting the Rapa Nui aimed to carve a colossus dwarfing all others. Why was it abandoned? Was the island's infamous ecological collapse triggered by deforestation already underway? Or did the islanders shift their focus from stone giants to the Birdman cult, leaving these silent sentinels half-born? What makes the Moai's hidden bodies so compelling is their duality. Above ground, they face inland, watching over villages as protective ancestors. Below, their buried forms whisper to us through symbols we can't yet understand. They stand as reminders that history isn't always written in books. Sometimes it's carved in stone, waiting for the earth to reveal it. The true meaning of these petroglyphs may remain locked away until another Rosetta Stone emerges, but one thing is clear: the Moai story doesn't end at the neck. Their secrets run deeper than we ever imagined. Across the Yamuna River from the luminous white Taj Mahal, where moonlight turns the marble into liquid silver, local guides whisper about a phantom structure, a shadowy twin that never was. The legend goes like this: Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan, heartbroken after the death of his beloved wife Mumtaz Mahal, planned not one but two mausoleums. The second, directly opposite the Taj on the river's far bank, would have been built from black marble, a dark mirror reflecting his eternal grief. But was this just poetic folklore, or could there be traces of truth buried in the red sandstone ruins dotting the moonlight garden? Historical accounts add fuel to the mystery. French traveler Jean-Baptiste Tavernier, who visited Agra in the 1660s, wrote of Shah Jahan's intention to build his own tomb across the river, connected to the Taj by a silver bridge. Modern archaeologists have indeed found foundations in the Mehtab bog gardens that align perfectly with the Taj axis, a telling detail in Mughal architecture where symmetry was sacred. Excavations uncovered blackened marble fragments, possibly from a planned structure or a pavilion meant to view the Taj at night. But the most compelling clue lies in Shah Jahan's fate, deposed by his son Aurangzeb and imprisoned in the Agra fort, where his only comfort was a distant view of Mumtaz's resting place through a mirror. The unfinished Black Taj, then, becomes more than a myth. It's the architectural ghost of a love story cut short by betrayal. Some scholars argue the Black Taj was never intended to be a mausoleum at all, but a grand garden complex where sunlight and shadow would dance between the two sites. The Mughals were masters of symbolic duality: white marble for purity, black for the emperor's mourning, and the interplay could have created a visual dialogue across the river. Others point to the surviving black marble pavilion in Delhi's Red Fort, proof that Shah Jahan experimented with the material. Yet the absence of any definitive blueprints leaves room for speculation. Was the legend born from a misinterpreted plan, or did Aurangzeb deliberately erase traces of his father's unfinished masterpiece? What lingers most powerfully isn't just the question of what might have been, but why the story endures. The Taj Mahal's perfection feels almost unbearable in its wholeness, as if grief so vast demands a counterweight. The phantom Black Taj, whether real or imagined, serves that purpose, a void that makes the existing monument even more poignant. In the end, Shah Jahan's thwarted vision may be the ultimate hidden message, that love, like architecture, is never truly complete, and the most profound tributes are sometimes the ones we can only glimpse in shadows. Angkor Wat's towering spires pierce the Cambodian jungle like stone fingertips reaching for the stars, but this 12th century marvel hides a celestial secret in its very foundations. While most visitors marvel at its intricate bas-reliefs depicting Hindu epics, few realize the entire temple complex mirrors the Draco constellation, a cosmic blueprint etched into the earth. French archaeologist Jean Filios at first noticed this astronomical alignment in the 1950s, observing how Angkor Wat's central towers match the stars of Draco's head, while its outer galleries trace the constellation's winding tail. This wasn't accidental. The Khmer Empire's architects likely used the North Celestial Pole marked by Draco in their era as a divine anchor, aligning the temple with the axis of the universe itself. The evidence is carved in stone. Bas-reliefs in the Western Gallery depict the churning of the ocean of milk, a Hindu creation myth where gods and demons work together to extract the elixir of immortality. Yet hidden within this vibrant scene are celestial markers. The 88 Asuras, demons, and 92 Devas gods pulling the serpent Vasuki correspond precisely to the 92 days between the winter solstice and spring equinox, and the 88 days following, a meticulous solar calendar encoded in mythology. Even more striking, the temple's westward orientation, unusual for Hindu structures, suggests it may have been designed as a funerary monument for King Suryavarman II, aligning his legacy with the cosmological transition between Vishnu's realms. Then there are the prophecies. The same galleries showing mythical battles also contain baffling scenes that resemble modern technology figures holding tube-like objects emitting light, or what some interpret as ancient depictions of telescopes. Could these be symbolic representations of divine knowledge, or were the artists encoding something more tangible? Local legends speak of Angkor Wat's original name, Vishnuloka, sacred Vishnu's abode, hinting it was meant as a bridge between earthly and celestial realms. Modern researchers have discovered that during the spring equinox, sunlight passes through the temple's outer portals to illuminate specific reliefs in precise sequence, as if guiding initiates through a story only visible at certain times of year. The most tantalizing clue lies in the temple's dimensions. Angkor Wat's outer wall measures exactly 365.24 cubits, matching Earth's solar year down to the decimal. The central tower's height corresponds to the number of lunar months in a Hindu cycle, while its moat's width reflects the precession of equinoxes. This mathematical precision suggests the Khmers possessed advanced astronomical knowledge, possibly passed down from even older civilizations. Some theorists propose Angkor Wat was built as a time capsule temple, its architecture preserving celestial patterns that would only make sense millennia later when the stars shifted position due to Earth's axial precession. Whether you see these alignments as sacred geometry or mere coincidence, one truth resonates: Angkor Wat was never just a temple. It's a stone hymn to the cosmos, blending myth, astronomy, and imperial ambition into a structure so precise it feels less like a building and more like a frozen moment in humanity's quest to touch the heavens. In its silent corridors, the walls don't just tell stories. They whisper secrets meant to endure across epochs, waiting for us to decipher their full meaning. The Rosetta Stone stands as archaeology's most famous linguistic key, celebrated for unlocking Egyptian hieroglyphs, but beneath its surface-level triumph lies a web of political intrigue few modern admirers notice. While textbooks focus on Champollion's decipherment breakthrough in 1822, the stone's true genius isn't just in its 3 scripts, but in what those scripts carefully omit. Carved in 196 BC during Ptolemy V's reign, the decree appears at first glance to praise the young pharaoh's generosity, granting tax relief to Egypt's priesthood. Yet hidden between the lines of Greek, Demotic, and hieroglyphic text is a masterclass in propaganda designed to shore up a faltering dynasty. Take the decree's grandiose claims. Ptolemy is described as the god who maketh himself manifest, whose deeds are beautiful, a title that would have raised eyebrows among native Egyptians. The Ptolemies, Greek outsiders ruling Egypt after Alexander's conquest, had a habit of borrowing local religious imagery to legitimize their power, but the Rosetta Stone takes this further. The hieroglyphic section, meant for temple display, elevates Ptolemy to near-mythic status, while the Greek version, aimed at bureaucrats, sticks to drier legal language. This wasn't just translation, it was calculated messaging, tailoring the king's image to different audiences. Even the stone's physical placement mattered. Recent research suggests it was one of dozens copied and distributed across Egypt, creating a unified narrative in a land where regional priests often resisted Ptolemaic rule. Then there's the curious case of the missing descent. The decree celebrates Ptolemy's victory over rebels in the Nile Delta, but modern historians know the conflict was far bloodier than the stone admits. X-ray fluorescence scans reveal subtle tool marks where earlier, less flattering phrases may have been chiseled away and reworded, a literal rewriting of history. The most telling clue, the decrees claim that Ptolemy funded temple restorations out of piety, when tax records show he was actually repossessing gold from shrines to pay his armies. The stone spins austerity into benevolence, turning a financial crisis into a PR victory. What makes the Rosetta Stone's hidden messages so compelling is their duality. On one level, it's a linguistic Rosetta Stone, bridging cultures through script. On another, it's a Ptolemaic press release, masking instability with carefully crafted symbols. Even its famed 3 scripts serve a covert purpose. By presenting the same decree in Egyptian and Greek, the Ptolemies subtly asserted that their foreign rule was inseparable from native tradition. Today, as the stone sits in the British Museum, its weathered surface still whispers the age-old lesson that history isn't just written by the victors, it's often encrypted by them too. The Leaning Tower of Pisa's precarious tilt has long been dismissed as a medieval engineering blunder, but what if its iconic slant wasn't an accident at all? While most guidebooks chalk up the tower's 4-degree lean to unstable foundations laid in soft clay soil, a growing number of historians argue the tilt was carefully calculated, even symbolic. Consider the timing. Construction began in 1173, just as Pisa was emerging as a republic free from imperial control. The tower, commissioned as a cathedral bell tower, would have been a bold declaration of independence, so why not make it literally defy gravity? Some scholars point to contemporary accounts describing how the architect Bonanno Pisano intentionally adjusted the upper floors to compensate for the lean rather than correct it, subtly embracing imperfection as a metaphor for Pisa's resilience. Then there's Galileo, the famous scientist born in Pisa, allegedly conducted his gravity experiments by dropping weights from the tower's summit in the late 16th century. But local archives suggest this story might be more than coincidence. The tower's tilt would have provided a natural laboratory for observing acceleration, its slant creating distinct falling paths that Galileo could measure. Could the architects have anticipated this scientific role? A 1992 restoration uncovered hidden cavities inside the tower's walls, possibly designed to shift its center of gravity over time. This wasn't just poor planning, it was dynamic engineering, allowing the structure to settle gradually while maintaining its dramatic profile. The tower's defiance of architectural norms goes deeper. Unlike most medieval towers which taper upward for stability, Pisa's design actually reverses this principle. Its upper floors are heavier and more ornate, almost as if encouraging the lean. Even the choice of materials hints at intention. The white marble used for the exterior was quarried from San Giuliano, a region notorious for its shifting bedrock. If stability was the goal, why not choose firmer stone? Unless, of course, the builders wanted a monument that would evolve over centuries, its tilt becoming a living record of time itself. Perhaps the most compelling evidence lies in Pisan art from the era. Frescoes in the nearby Camposanto Monumentale depict towers with similar leans, suggesting the motif held cultural significance. Some interpretations link the tilt to the biblical Tower of Babel, a deliberate nod to human ambition and divine intervention. Others see it as an architectural pun, playing on Pisa's maritime prowess. When viewed from certain angles, the tower resembles a ship listing in the wind, a tribute to the naval power that made the Republic wealthy. Modern engineers have inadvertently supported the intentionality theory. During stabilization efforts in the 1990s, they discovered the tower's foundation was deliberately built unevenly, one side's base thicker than the others. This wasn't negligence, it was a built-in correction mechanism, allowing the structure to settle asymmetrically while preventing collapse. Today, as laser monitoring shows the tower's tilt decreasing by millimeters each year, we're left to wonder, was its famous lean always meant to be a temporary defiance of physics, a slow-motion performance art piece spanning 8 centuries? Whether by accident or design, the tower's enduring slant has become something far more profound than an engineering quirk. It's a stone poem about balance, imperfection, and the beauty of standing apart. Standing proudly in New York Harbor, the Statue of Liberty lifts her torch as a universal symbol of freedom. But few visitors notice the broken chains lying half-hidden beneath her sandaled feet. This subtle detail isn't just decoration, it's a powerful echo of the statue's forgotten origins as a monument to abolition. While most associate Lady Liberty with immigration thanks to the famous poem at her base, her conception in 1865 by French abolitionist Édouard de Laboulaye carried a far more urgent message. Laboulaye envisioned the statue as a celebration of the Union's victory in the Civil War and the end of slavery, with the chains representing shattered oppression. The original plaster model even showed Liberty holding broken shackles in her left hand, a design altered later to make the symbolism less confrontational for post-Reconstruction America. The chains we see today, partially obscured by her robes and pedestal, tell a story of deliberate concealment. Early sketches reveal sculptor Frédéric Bartholdi's bold vision, a black woman holding a broken chain embodying emancipation. Political pressures softened this radical imagery, but traces remain. The statue's right foot, lifted mid-stride, crushes a remnant of chain, while the left rests near a shattered link. These details were meant to be viewed from above, suggesting Liberty's triumph over slavery was literally underfoot, a foundation for her higher ideals. Even the statue's official name, Liberty Enlightening the World, hints at this duality. Her torch lights the way forward while the chains anchor her to a painful past. Why has this abolitionist narrative faded? Partly because the statue's meaning evolved as it became a beacon for immigrants arriving at nearby Ellis Island. But the shift also reflects America's uneasy relationship with its own history. When the statue was dedicated in 1886, Jim Crow laws were spreading across the South, making overt anti-slavery symbolism controversial. The chain's marginalization mirrors how Reconstruction's promises were abandoned. Only in recent decades have historians revived Laboulay's original intent, using infrared scans to study obscure details in Bartholdi's workshop models that confirm the statue's radical roots. The most poignant clue lies in the statue's construction timeline. The chains were cast in 1876, the same year the last federal troops withdrew from the South, ending enforcement of civil rights for freed black citizens. Whether intentional or not, the statue's silent protest against fading abolitionist ideals feels eerily prescient. Today, as conservators work to preserve the weathered copper chains, they're not just maintaining a sculpture but uncovering layers of meaning. Those broken links remind us that liberty isn't just about moving forward, it's about remembering what and who made the first steps possible. Perched high above Granada's winding streets, the Alhambra's honey-colored walls shimmer with more than just intricate tilework. They pulse with hidden verses, each arabesque curve whispering lines of poetry in flowing Kufic script. At first glance, these decorative inscriptions blend seamlessly into the Nasrid dynasty's geometric perfection, but lean closer, and you'll discover the palace's true magic. Calligraphic spells designed to enchant anyone who crosses its threshold. One famous phrase, repeated like a mantra along the court of the Lion's Arches, declares, "There is no conqueror but God," a bold assertion carved by a kingdom on the brink of collapse, as if words alone could shield them from the advancing Reconquista. The genius of these inscriptions lies in their duality. Some stretch across walls in elegant ribbons, their letters cleverly elongated to create optical illusions that make the text appear infinite when viewed from specific angles. Others hide within floral patterns, their messages emerging only when sunlight strikes the stucco at precise times of day. In the Hall of the Ambassadors, a single poetic line spirals around the dome in a continuous loop, praising the Sultan's wisdom while secretly mimicking the celestial orbits, a subtle nod to the Nasrid's advanced astronomical knowledge. But the most provocative inscription crowns the famed Fountain of Lions. "My waters are like the sword's blade, and my basin is like the shield's curve." This isn't just metaphor, it's psychological warfare, transforming a tranquil courtyard into a subliminal battlefield where even gurgling water reminds visitors of the dynasty's might. Decoding these messages reveals a deeper layer of strategy. Many poems boast that the palace's beauty paralyzes or bewitches enemies, a claim backed by historical accounts. When Catholic monarchs Ferdinand and Isabella finally seized Granada in 1492, they spared the Alhambra from destruction, not just for its splendor, but because its artistry seemed almost supernatural. Modern linguists have identified over 10,000 inscriptions throughout the complex, with some passages written backward or mirrored, as if meant to be read in reflection. Were these techniques meant to deepen the sense of mystery, or did they serve as encrypted communications for palace initiates? Recent digital reconstructions have uncovered even more startling details. Using multispectral imaging, researchers found faded ink remnants suggesting certain walls were originally painted in vivid blues and reds, making the calligraphy appear to float mid-air. In the Mirador of Lindoroja, a once-hidden couplet was revealed beneath centuries of grime. The stars would descend if they saw such beauty on earth. This wasn't mere decoration, it was a calculated play of light, color, and language designed to overwhelm the senses. Even the placement of verses follows a hidden logic. Quranic excerpts adorn public spaces, while love poetry hides in private chambers, mapping a gradient from divine to human devotion. What makes the Alhambra's calligraphy unique is its living intentionality. Unlike static carvings on ancient temples, these words were meant to perform, to dazzle diplomats, humble rivals, and perhaps even alter perception itself. As you trace the letters with your fingertips, you're not just reading poetry, you're stepping into a 700-year-old spell where every curve of the aleph and dot of the ba was placed with precision, turning stone into speech and walls into whispers of a kingdom that refused to be forgotten. Hanging in the dim light of Turin Cathedral, the shroud's ghostly imprint of a crucified man has sparked debate for centuries. Is this the actual burial cloth of Jesus or an elaborate medieval hoax? The linen's faint brownish stains form a haunting negative image, revealed only in 1898 when amateur photographer Secondo Pia discovered it resembled a photographic negative when inverted. But the real mystery lies beneath the surface. Under ultraviolet light, hidden details emerge, faint bloodstains that follow precise anatomical patterns, including puncture wounds at the wrists, not the palms, as tradition often depicts crucifixion, and a lance wound matching ancient Roman weaponry. Forensic experts note these marks align with historical accounts of Roman executions, but skeptics point to carbon dating from 1988 that place the shroud's origins between 1260 and 1390, squarely in the Middle Ages. The controversy deepens when examining the image's unique properties. Unlike any known painting technique, the coloration results from a superficial oxidation of the linen's topmost fibers, as if produced by a brief burst of energy. Scientists have tried and failed to replicate this effect using medieval methods. Even more puzzling are the microscopic traces of limestone dust embedded in the fibers, matching Jerusalem's geology, and pollen grains from plants native to the Dead Sea region. Could these be accidental clues from a genuine first-century artifact, or did an unimaginably meticulous forger scatter authentic Middle Eastern dust as part of an elaborate ruse? Then there's the shroud's hidden geometry. Italian researchers using advanced 3D mapping software found the image contains encoded three-dimensional information, something no painting could achieve. The intensity of the stains correlates precisely with the expected distance between the cloth and a three-dimensional body, as if the image was projected onto the linen rather than painted. Some physicists speculate this could result from a short-duration burst of vacuum ultraviolet radiation, a phenomenon beyond medieval technology. Yet critics counter that the carbon dating remains definitive, proposing the original sample might have been contaminated by fire damage or bacterial growth. Perhaps the most startling detail is the shroud's invisible mending. High-resolution scans reveal areas where the weave was expertly repaired in the Middle Ages using a nearly identical technique called French reweaving, explaining why later dating tests might have been skewed. This discovery has reignited debates, with some researchers arguing the shroud could indeed be older, its original fibers interwoven with medieval repairs. Meanwhile, textile analysts point to the herringbone twill pattern, a rare weave associated with elite first-century Jewish burials but uncommon in medieval Europe. What makes the Shroud of Turin uniquely compelling is its resistance to easy categorization. It's neither clearly miraculous nor provably fake, existing in a liminal space where faith and science intersect. For believers, the image's uncanny anatomical precision and inexplicable formation defy natural explanation. For skeptics, the carbon dating and historical silence about the shroud before the 1300s suggest an ingenious medieval creation. Yet both sides agree on one thing: whoever produced this image, whether divine hands or a forgotten artisan, left behind a puzzle that continues to challenge our understanding of history, art, and the limits of human ingenuity. The shroud doesn't just ask us to believe or disbelieve, it asks us to wonder. When the Soviet government ordered the removal of the Romanov dynasty's double-headed eagles from Moscow's Kremlin towers in 1935, they weren't just tearing down symbols of imperial power, they were rewriting the skyline with a hidden astronomical code. The 5 massive ruby stars that replaced them, glowing like embers against the city's dusk, were far more than communist propaganda. Each weighed over a ton, their glass panels infused with luminous gas to outshine the night, but their arrangement reveals an unexpected precision. Positioned atop the Spasskaya, Nikolskaya, Borovitskaya, Troitskaya, and Vodovzvodnaya towers, the stars form a near-perfect pentagram when viewed from certain angles, a geometric shape steeped in Masonic tradition and ancient celestial symbolism. The star's design holds further clues. Soviet architects claimed the 5-pointed shape represented the unity of workers across 5 continents, yet the proportions mirror the golden ratio, a mathematical constant revered by secret societies like the Freemasons, who influenced early Bolshevik thinkers. Even the star's internal lighting follows a curious pattern. Their rays alternate between 10 long and 5 short facets, possibly referencing the 15-degree separation between the Kremlin's original eagle-adorned towers, as if encoding the old regime's spatial logic into the new symbols. Some historians suggest this was a deliberate act of esoteric one-upmanship, overwriting Tsarist iconography with hidden geometry only initiates could decipher. Then there's the material itself. The star's ruby red glass wasn't chosen just for its revolutionary hue. Under ultraviolet light, the panels emit a faint glow reminiscent of astronomical filters used to map constellations, a detail that takes on new meaning when considering the Kremlin's layout. The tower's bearing stars align with key stars in the Orion constellation as it appeared during the October Revolution in 1917, suggesting a celestial blueprint for the Soviet state's founding myth. Even the star's installation dates, staggered between 1935 and 1937, coincide with the appearance of certain planets in Moscow's night sky, as if the structures were being consecrated by the cosmos itself. But the most tantalizing theory involves the star's resilience. During World War II, Nazi bombers failed to destroy them despite direct hits, leading to rumors they'd been imbued with protective symbolism. Restoration crews later discovered copper plates inscribed with Cyrillic text beneath the star's frameworks, possibly spells or equations, though the Kremlin archives have never released full transcriptions. Whether these were meant as Marxist incantations or borrowed occult safeguards remains debated. What's undeniable is the star's dual nature. They glorified Soviet power while whispering older, stranger secrets. Their glow didn't just light up Moscow, it cast shadows rich with hidden meaning, proving even the most ideological monuments can't escape the human urge to encode mysteries in plain sight. Rising like a Victorian fever dream from the orchards of San Jose, California, the Winchester Mystery House stands as one of America's most bizarre architectural puzzles. A sprawling mansion where staircases twist into ceilings, doors open onto sheer drops, and secret passages wind through walls like veins. But this wasn't just the whim of an eccentric heiress. It was a desperate fortress against the supernatural, built under the guidance of spirits themselves. After losing her infant daughter and husband, the famed rifle manufacturer William Wirt Winchester Sarah Winchester became convinced their family was cursed by the ghosts of those killed by Winchester rifles. A Boston medium reportedly told her the only way to appease the spirits was to build a home so vast and labyrinthine that the dead could never find her. So began a 38-year construction frenzy, resulting in a 160-room monstrosity with staircases ascending to plaster ceilings, hallways doubling back on themselves, and a closet barely deep enough for a coat hanger. The house's design reads like an architectural Ouija board. Sarah held nightly seances in her blue room, where she claimed spirits dictated the next day's blueprints. Workers would arrive at dawn to find hastily sketched plans. A hallway leading to a dead end here, a window installed in the floor there. Some walls allegedly contain messages scratched into the lath by Sarah herself, cryptic symbols and numbers that paranormal investigators believe were spirit communications. The most chilling feature, the door to nowhere on the second floor, which swings open to reveal a 15-foot drop to the garden below. Was this meant to trick pursuing entities into stepping into empty air, or did Sarah, in her grief, create literal thresholds between worlds? Modern skeptics argue Sarah's behavior was symptomatic of advanced arthritis and possible psychosis, but the house's uncanny acoustics defy simple explanation. Certain corners amplify whispers into deafening echoes, while other rooms swallow sound entirely, effects that couldn't have been accidental in a structure this meticulously chaotic. Infrared scans have revealed hollow spaces behind walls with no apparent access points, fueling theories of hidden chambers used for rituals. Even the numbers hold eerie significance. The mansion's original 7 stories collapsed in the 1906 earthquake, leaving it with an uneven 4 floors, numbers considered spiritually potent in both Western and Eastern occult traditions. Perhaps the most compelling evidence of supernatural intent lies in the house's very materials. Sarah insisted on using only the finest old-growth redwood, a tree native Californians revered as a bridge between the living and spirit worlds. The wood was harvested during specific moon phases, and builders mixed iron filings into the plaster, a technique once thought to repel ghosts. Today, visitors report phantom footsteps in the Daisy Room, where Sarah's niece died mysteriously, and cold spots cluster around the basement's hellhole staircase, which descends in 13 steps before twisting upside down into another flight. Whether you believe the legends or not, the Winchester house stands as a testament to one woman's terror of the unseen, a physical manifestation of grief so consuming it blurred the line between architecture and exorcism. Every nail driven at midnight, every nonsensical corridor whispers the same desperate plea, "Don't let them find me." Etched into the marble walls of the Lincoln Memorial, the words of the Gettysburg Address stand as a sacred testament to democracy. But look closely at the northeast wall and you'll spot something peculiar. The word future is carved as future with a F conspicuously absent. At first glance, it seems like a simple mason's slip of the chisel, but this so-called typo sits just inches from one of history's most scrutinized speeches. Could such a mistake really go unnoticed in a monument of this scale, or was it deliberately left as a hidden signature? Theories abound. Some historians argue it's nothing more than an engraver's error, hastily corrected by filling in the missing stroke with darker stone dust to approximate an F. Yet the dust has worn away over time, revealing the original E, once more, almost as if the memorial itself is winking at us. But others, particularly those familiar with Freemason symbology, suggest something far more intentional. The Masonic tradition, which influenced many of America's early architects, often used linguistic codes and symbolic omissions to mark sacred spaces. In this context, future could be read as eutur, a possible nod to the Latin eutur, meaning from the future, Was this a clandestine message from the monument's designers, hinting that Lincoln's vision would resonate beyond his time? Even the placement feels suspicious. The error appears in the phrase, "a new birth of freedom," a line that, if misread, might draw extra scrutiny from visitors. Coincidence unlikely, given the precision of the rest of the memorial's inscriptions. The architect Henry Bacon was a known Freemason, as was the sculptor Daniel Chester French. Both men understood the weight of symbolism, crafting the memorial's 36 columns to represent the states in the Union at Lincoln's death. If they could calculate column counts with such exactitude, why fumble a single letter? Then there's the curious case of the National Park Service's response. For decades, officials dismissed the anomaly as a harmless mistake, yet conservators have never fixed it, even during major restorations. This reluctance to correct what seems like an obvious flaw has only fueled speculation. Some researchers point to Lincoln's own affinity for wordplay. His love of ciphers and codes is well documented. Could Ucha be a final puzzle from the man who once challenged his cabinet with riddles? The most compelling clue might lie in the stone itself. The memorial's marble was sourced from Colorado, a state rich with Masonic lore and home to the Unsolved Crypto's sculpture at CA headquarters, another cipher-laden monument. Whether by design or accident, the Ucha engraving has become a testament to the human urge to find meaning in imperfections. In a shrine dedicated to a president who believed in the unfinished work of democracy, perhaps this tiny enigma is fitting, a reminder that even our grandest tributes contain room for mystery, debate, and the occasional happy accident. Carved into the granite face of Mount Rushmore, the stoic gazes of 4 presidents seem to guard more than just America's ideals. They hide a literal vault of secrets. Behind Abraham Lincoln's 6-foot-tall eyeball lies a half-finished chamber known as the Hall of Records, a time capsule designed to preserve the nation's most sacred documents for future civilizations. Sculptor Gutzon Borglum originally envisioned an 800-foot-long stairway leading to this archive, where the Declaration of Independence, Constitution, and key artifacts would be stored behind bronze and glass doors, protected by a massive eagle sculpture. But why was this ambitious project abandoned in 1941, leaving only a 21-foot tunnel drilled into the rock? The official explanation cites wartime budget cuts, but the incomplete chamber's eerie perfection fuels darker theories. The tunnel's dimensions, exactly 12 feet wide and 16 feet high, match the proportions of ancient Egyptian sacred architecture, specifically the King's Chamber in the Great Pyramid. Even stranger, Borglum's original blueprints show the hall aligned so that sunlight would strike a golden capstone on the summer solstice, much like the Pyramid of Giza. Was this merely artistic flourish, or did Borglum, a known Freemason, embed occult geometry into America's most patriotic monument? Modern explorations have only deepened the mystery. In 1998, the National Park Service finally installed porcelain panels describing American history inside the chamber, sealing them behind a 600-pound granite slab. Yet ground-penetrating radar reveals hollow spaces extending far beyond the official room, matching Borglum's notes about additional archival wings. Some researchers believe these could hold his rumored collection of Masonic relics, possibly including the missing cornerstone from the White House, which vanished during its reconstruction in the 1850s. Others whisper about the Borglum Vault, a separate underground chamber where the sculptor allegedly stored proof of pre-Columbian contact between Native Americans and ancient Europeans. The most compelling clue lies in the hall's precise orientation. Borglum positioned it along an axis pointing directly to the Black Hills sacred Lakota site at Bear Butte, a deliberate provocation to indigenous groups who opposed the monument's desecration of their holy land. Could the Hall of Records have been intended not just as a time capsule, but as a cryptic apology or challenge? Contemporary letters reveal Borglum argued fiercely to include Lakota leader Red Cloud among the presidents, suggesting complex motivations behind his chisel. Today, the sealed chamber remains accessible only to maintenance crews, its heavy door marked with strange symbols resembling both Masonic codes and Lakota star maps. Every few years, proposals surface to complete Borglum's vision, but bureaucracy and Native American protests keep the vault locked. Whether it holds forgotten treasures or just empty tunnels, the Hall of Records stands as a metaphor for America itself, a nation built on grand ideals, half-finished promises, and buried contradictions waiting for the right moment to be unearthed. Tucked away in the humid Florida landscape, the Coral Castle stands as one of modern history's most baffling architectural puzzles. A sprawling complex of megalithic stones weighing up to 30 tons each, all shaped and placed by a single man who stood just 5 feet tall and weighed 100 pounds. Edward Leedskalnin, a Latvian immigrant with only a 4th grade education, claimed he had unlocked the secrets of the ancient Egyptians using anti-gravity techniques lost to time. Between 1923 and 1951, working almost entirely at night to avoid prying eyes, he carved and lifted over 1,100 tons of coral rock using only handmade tools, insisting the stones floated like hydrogen balloons when he applied his rediscovered knowledge of magnetism and cosmic energy. The precision defies explanation. Leedskalnin's 9-ton gate, for instance, pivots so smoothly on a metal rod that a child can push it open with a finger, yet engineers still can't replicate its perfect balance. The castle's walls fit together without mortar, their joints so tight not even a razor blade can slip between them. His most famous creation, the 25-ton obelisk, was allegedly raised using nothing more than a tripod of wooden poles and a chain hoist, a feat modern cranes would struggle to achieve. When asked how he managed it, Leedskalnin would only smile and say, "I understand the laws of weight and leverage." Skeptics dismissed him as eccentric, but his cryptic book, Magnetic Current, hints at something deeper. In its pages, he describes harnessing the perpetual motion holder, a force he claimed flowed through all matter, allowing him to neutralize gravity by aligning the stone's magnetic fields with Earth's poles. The castle's layout adds another layer of mystery. Its tables, chairs, and even a functioning sundial are arranged with celestial precision. The moon pond, filled with water that mirrors the night sky, aligns with Polaris on the summer solstice, while the telescope stone points directly to the North Star. Some researchers believe Leedskalnin encoded advanced astronomical knowledge into the site, perhaps replicating lost megalithic principles. Others point to the recurring number 9 in the castle's designs, 22 coral blocks in the tallest tower, each weighing 9 tons, suggesting a numerological cipher tied to sacred geometry. What makes the Coral Castle uniquely unsettling is the absence of any blueprints or eyewitness accounts. Leedskalnin worked in near-total secrecy, dismantling and rebuilding the entire structure when he moved locations in 1936. Neighbors reported hearing him sing to the stones at night, and rare photographs show him posed with tools that look laughably inadequate, a makeshift winch, a few rusted car parts next to monoliths that dwarfed him. Before his death in 1951, he boasted that he'd left the secret of his methods, where people will never think to look, hidden in plain sight within the castle's geometry. Decades later, scientists have proposed theories involving harmonic resonance or counterweights, but none fully explain how one man manipulated such mass with such grace. X-rays of the stones reveal no internal reinforcements, and scans show the coral blocks are positioned directly on the bedrock with no hidden foundations. The castle's allure isn't just in how it was built, but in Leedskalnin's defiance of modern logic, a reminder that history's greatest mysteries often belong to those who refuse to play by the rules. Whether he truly rediscovered ancient levitation or simply perfected an obscure form of physics, his legacy stands in coral and moonlight, daring us to question what we think we know about weight, balance, and the invisible forces that shape our world. Beneath the bustling streets of Paris lies a silent, shadowy world where bones become art, and perhaps something more. The catacombs' macabre mosaics, 6 million skeletons arranged in meticulous patterns, are far more than just decorative displays. Walk through these dimly lit tunnels and you'll spot walls of skulls forming perfect hexagons, femurs stacked like bricks in precise geometric sequences, and even heart-shaped alcoves where tibias curve into symbols of love. At first glance, these arrangements seem like morbid ornamentation, but historians believe they could be a covert language of the dead, left by the secretive masons who transferred the remains here in the 18th century. Consider the recurring heart motifs near the entrance. Some scholars argue these were tributes to the workers' lost loved ones during the French Revolution's bloody upheaval. Others see a darker irony, a sarcastic jab at the revolutionary slogan Liberté, Égalité, Fraternité, sculpted in the bones of those who died for it. The most provocative designs lie deeper in the labyrinth, crosses hidden in the negative spaces between skulls, and a chamber where bones radiate outward like sunbeams, a possible nod to Masonic sun symbolism. These weren't random choices. The catacombs' chief architect, Charles Axel Guillemot, was a renowned Freemason, and his team likely included lodge brothers who wove their esoteric knowledge into the very walls. The patterns also follow a hidden mathematical logic. Measurements reveal Fibonacci sequences in the spacing of certain alcoves, and the famous barrel of skulls uses interlocking jawbones to create an illusion of infinite depth, a technique echoing Renaissance sacred geometry. Even the bone stack's stability defies physics. Despite no mortar, they've withstood centuries of vibrations from the metro above. Some theorists propose the Masons employed ancient techniques used in Gothic cathedrals, treating the catacombs as an underground chef d'oeuvre where engineering and occultism merged. Perhaps the most unsettling detail is the occasional anomaly, a skull placed upside down or a femur pointing the wrong way. Conservationists once assumed these were errors until a 1992 restoration uncovered small carvings near them, arrows, stars, and alchemical symbols etched into the limestone. Were these markers for initiates, guiding them to hidden chambers or encrypted messages? The catacombs archives mention lost sections walled off during Napoleon's reign, fueling rumors of clandestine meeting rooms or even buried revolutionary treasures. What makes these bone patterns uniquely haunting is their duality. They serve as both public memorial and private cipher, a reminder that even in death, human hands can't resist leaving secrets behind. Whether Masonic code, political satire, or something more ineffable, the catacombs' artistry whispers that the line between homage and hidden meaning is as thin as the veil between the living and the dead. The Tower of London's ancient stone walls have witnessed centuries of bloodshed, betrayal, and royal intrigue, but its most enduring legend isn't carved in stone or written in history books. It flaps ominously on black wings. The prophecy is simple yet chilling. If the 6 resident ravens ever abandon the tower, the crown will fall and disaster will engulf the kingdom. For over 400 years, these birds have been more than mascots. They're feathered guardians, their very presence a bulwark against chaos. But behind their glossy plumage and theatrical antics lies a darker tale, one of clipped wings, royal superstition, and a monarchy so terrified of omens it turned myth into militarized policy. The raven's privileged status dates back to the 17th century, when Charles Roman II allegedly decreed their protection after court astrologers warned of the dynasty's collapse should they flee. But this wasn't just royal paranoia. Ravens had long been associated with the tower's grisly history, feasting on the corpses of executed prisoners like Lady Jane Grey and Anne Boleyn. Their absence, it was believed, would signal the end of the monarchy's divine favor, a belief possibly rooted in Celtic mythology, where ravens symbolized prophecy and battlefield fate. To ensure compliance, the bird's flight feathers are carefully trimmed, a practice that continues today under the watchful eye of the yeoman warders or beefeaters. Yet this precaution hides an unsettling truth. The ravens aren't just kept, they're hostage to superstition, their freedom exchanged for the illusion of stability. Historical records reveal even stranger rituals. During World War II, the tower's ravens mysteriously vanished. Some say they fled the Blitz's bombings, others whisper they were secretly replaced after dying of stress. Only one, a resilient bird named Grip, reportedly survived. His continued presence spun as propaganda to bolster British morale. More recently, in 1986, a raven named George enlisted in the army, a ceremonial rank, complete with uniform scraps after attacking and destroying a TV antenna. The military's playful response masked a deeper unease. Even in modernity, the monarchy couldn't risk the symbolism of a raven's defiance. Modern science offers a cynical counterpoint. Ornithologists note that ravens, highly intelligent and opportunistic, likely stayed at the tower for centuries because of reliable food, not destiny. The legend may have been retroactively crafted to explain their presence near executions where they scavenged, but psychology trumps biology here. The monarchy's power has always relied on theater, and the ravens are its most poetic performers. Their clipped wings aren't just practical, they're a metaphor for the crown's grip on narrative, ensuring even nature bends to tradition. What makes the ravens uniquely haunting is their dual role as both protectors and prisoners. They're celebrated as living legends, yet denied the sky. They symbolize Britain's resilience, yet their myth was born from fear. Every morning when the beefeaters check their roosts, they're not just counting birds, they're performing an ancient ritual of control, a silent pact between history and superstition. The ravens may never fly free, but their wings, however clipped, still cast long shadows over the tower's storied stones, dominating the center of St. Peter's Square. The Vatican Obelisk rises like a silent sentinel between two worlds, its gleaming surface reflecting both the cross above and the pagan past beneath. This 4,000-year-old monolith, hewn from red granite in the Egyptian city of Heliopolis, carries inscriptions praising the sun god Ra, yet it now stands baptized as a Christian symbol. But the real story isn't just about relocation. It's about reinterpretation, where ancient hymns to solar deities were literally overwritten with new meaning. The obelisk's journey to Rome in 37 AD under Emperor Caligula was already a marvel of engineering, transported across the Mediterranean on a ship filled with lentils as ballast, yet its survival into the Christian era is where the true intrigue lies. Look closely at the obelisk's base and you'll spot the Vatican's open secret. The original hieroglyphs remain untouched. Unlike many Egyptian relics defaced by later cultures, these carvings escaped erasure, their praises to Ra and Horus still legible to anyone who knows how to read them. Early church fathers, rather than destroying the monument, claimed it had been exorcised, its pagan power neutralized by the shadow of the cross now towering over it. This symbolic conquest reaches its peak on St. Peter's feast day, when sunlight aligns with the obelisk's apex, creating a play of light and shadow that some scholars argue deliberately mirrors the solar rituals once performed around it in Egypt. The obelisk's preservation wasn't just practical, it was tactical. By keeping the hieroglyphs intact but recontextualizing their meaning, the Church demonstrated a theological flex, proving even the old gods could serve the new faith. The monument's current placement is no accident either. It stands precisely where Nero's circus once held Christian martyrs, transforming a site of persecution into one of triumph. Yet the stone itself whispers a counter-narrative. Certain glyphs near the base depict the pharaoh offering incense to Ra, a scene uncomfortably similar to Catholic veneration of saints. Was this parallel deliberate? Some historians suggest Renaissance popes, fluent in Egyptian symbolism after the rediscovery of the Hermetic texts, recognized the obelisk's value as a bridge between traditions. Modern laser scans reveal even deeper layers. beneath centuries of grime, faint traces of gilding suggest the obelisk was originally covered in gold leaf, its surface designed to catch and reflect sunlight during solstice ceremonies. When Pope Sixtus V moved it to its current location in 1586, he ordered workers to mount a cross containing a fragment of the true cross atop it, a direct challenge to the solar cults the obelisk once represented. The twist, the cross's shadow at noon, traces the same angles ancient priests once used to mark time, as if the stone itself refuses to fully abandon its past. What makes the Vatican Obelisk uniquely compelling isn't just its endurance, but its duality. It's a monument that has served pharaohs, emperors, and popes, its meaning shifting with each new custodian. The hieroglyphs may praise Ra, but their survival under the cross suggests a quieter truth that faiths, like civilizations, are less about erasure than transformation. In the end, the obelisk's greatest secret isn't hidden in its inscriptions, but in its silence as it stands watch over a square where millions gather, oblivious to the sun god's name still etched in stone beneath their feet. Walking through the forbidden city's towering vermilion gates, visitors often overlook the subtle details that reveal the emperor's divine authority, embedded not in grand carvings or sweeping frescoes, but in the humble door nails. Each massive gate is studded with precisely 81 brass nails, arranged in 9 rows of 9. This seemingly mundane feature hides a cosmic code. 9 was the ultimate imperial number, representing heaven's mandate and the emperor's role as the son of heaven. But this wasn't just about numerology. It was a carefully calculated display of power designed to intimidate enemies both human and supernatural. Why 81? In ancient Chinese cosmology, 9 symbolized the celestial zenith, the highest single-digit odd number, associated with the emperor's yang energy and the infinite expanse of the cosmos. Multiplying it by itself amplified its potency, creating a shield against malevolent forces. The arrangement wasn't arbitrary either. The nails' grid pattern mirrored the well-field system, an ancient land division method representing cosmic order, while their brass material believed to repel ghosts turned every gate into a spiritual barricade. Even the hammering process was ritualized. Court records describe artisans whispering incantations as they drove each nail, imbuing them with protective energy. But the nails' power wasn't just symbolic. They served as a brutal class marker. Only the emperor's gates could bear 9 by 9 nails. Nobles were allotted 7 rows, officials 5, and commoners forbidden any decorative nails at all. This hierarchy was enforced ruthlessly. During the Ming dynasty, a wealthy merchant was executed for adding 7-row nails to his estate's doors, a treasonous act of usurping celestial alignment. The message was clear. The emperor didn't just rule the land, he mediated between heaven and earth, and even something as small as a nail could disrupt that balance. Modern technology has uncovered deeper layers to this mystery. Infrared scans reveal that some nails contain hidden chambers filled with mercury, a substance ancients associated with immortality, likely placed there as offerings to celestial guardians. Others, when struck, produce harmonic frequencies matching the pitch of ancient temple bells, suggesting they doubled as sonic wards, the most startling discovery. A handful of nails near the Meridian Gate are magnetized, aligning with Earth's poles like a compass. Were these accidental results of ore impurities, or did the imperial architects understand magnetism's spiritual significance centuries before Western science? What makes these humble nails so fascinating is their duality. They were both practical fasteners and metaphysical safeguards, blending engineering with esotericism. Every time a visitor passed through the Forbidden City's gates, they weren't just stepping into a palace. They were traversing a threshold guarded by numbers, metals, and rituals designed to remind them that the emperor's power wasn't just political. It was written in brass and blessed by the cosmos. Perched above Los Angeles like a beacon of glamour, The Hollywood sign's gleaming letters have become synonymous with fame and fortune, but its origins are far more humble and far stranger than most realize. What began in 1923 as a temporary real estate advertisement reading Hollywoodland was no ordinary billboard. The sign's creators, developers Woodruff and Schultz, embedded cryptic symbols into its design, from sunburst motifs echoing occult imagery to an original lighting system that made the letters flicker in deliberate sequences. Local newspapers at the time reported rumors that the developers were Freemasons, and the sign's initial arrangement, 4,500 light bulbs flashing in repeating patterns, allegedly mirrored Masonic ciphers used in ritual ceremonies. Even the name Hollywoodland itself carried hidden weight. The suffix wasn't just about marketing, it invoked the concept of manifest destiny, framing this scrubby hillside as a promised land for dreamers, a coded promise of transformation. The sign's most provocative feature, though, was IT's Chinese letter lived celestial alignment. For its first few years, the final D was positioned so that during the summer solstice, the setting sun would appear to crown it like a glowing diadem. This wasn't accidental. Developer Tracy Schultz openly acknowledged drawing inspiration from ancient solar monuments, telling the Los Angeles Times in 1925 that he wanted the sign to catch the light like an Egyptian obelisk. Skeptics dismiss these connections as coincidence, but archived blueprints show the sign's footings were surveyed using astrological charts, a practice uncommon for real estate projects even in the esoterically inclined 1920s. Everything changed in 1949 when the decaying sign was rebuilt without the land suffix. Official records claim this was merely a practical decision. The sign had deteriorated, and the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce wanted a shorter, cleaner emblem for the district. But conspiracy theorists point to the timing. The redesign coincided with the rise of McCarthyism, when occult symbolism became politically toxic. Was the truncation an act of self-censorship? Former Chamber President G.A. Parkinson's private notes, unearthed in 2012, reveal heated debates about the sign's mystical connotations, with some members pushing to remove it entirely. Instead, they settled on surgical editing, erasing the esoteric land while preserving the icon itself. Modern laser scans of the hillside have added fuel to the mystery. The original sign's footings formed near-perfect Pythagorean triangles, and remnants of its electrical system suggest the bulbs weren't just random. They could be controlled in clusters to form rudimentary shapes or symbols. Most intriguingly, the current sign's placement subtly mirrors the Pleiades star cluster as it appeared in 1923, suggesting the rebuilders preserved hidden celestial alignments even as they scrubbed the overt occult references. Whether by design or accident, the Hollywood sign remains a paradox, a monument to surface-level fame that still whispers of the secret codes beneath its gleaming facade. From the celestial alignments of the Great Pyramid to the whispered poetry of the Alhambra's walls, these 25 monuments remind us that history's grandest designs are rarely what they seem. Each stone, each carving, each carefully placed shadow holds layers of meaning, some meant to be seen, others waiting centuries for the right eyes to decipher them. The terracotta army's silent battalions guard more than an emperor's tomb. They preserve the faces of a forgotten army. The Nazca Lines stretch across the desert like a colossal message to the gods, while the leaning tower of Pisa's defiant tilt challenges the very laws of physics. The Winchester Mystery houses labyrinthine halls, and the coral castle's impossibly balanced stones prove that obsession can bend reality itself. And hidden in plain sight, the Statue of Liberty's broken chains and the Hollywood sign's occult origins reveal how even the most familiar icons conceal startling truth. What ties these wonders together isn't just their beauty or scale. It's the human urge to encode our deepest fears, hopes, and secrets into the physical world. The builders of these monuments weren't just architects, they were storytellers, theologians, and scientists, leaving behind puzzles meant to outlast empires. Whether it's the Vatican Obelisk's unerased hieroglyphs or the Tower of London's captive ravens, these sites blur the line between myth and history, inviting us to question what we think we know. So the next time you stand before an ancient wonder, look closer, run your fingers over the cracks and grooves, search for the patterns hidden in plain sight. Because history's greatest mysteries aren't locked away in vaults, they're carved into the very stones beneath our feet, waiting for curious minds to piece them together. Have you visited any of these sites, spotted a detail the history books missed? Drop your theories and favorite enigmas in the comments. We're all detectives in this grand, unfolding story. And if you love unraveling the past's best-kept secrets, don't forget to subscribe. The world's monuments have plenty more to say, and we're just getting started.